Hi kids, I'm here to teach you today a little bit about arrays. This is going to be our second lesson about arrays. You've already seen the cat PowerPoint by now, hopefully. This is the second lesson about arrays. We're going to go through what arrays are, why we use them, and then we're going to do some game slides to practice. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be doing a video lesson about arrays. How can I count all of these ice skates in an easier way? Right now they look kind of disorganized. Let's see if we can organize them in a better way. If we use arrays, organize rows and columns, this can help. Arrays show objects in equal rows. 2 rows of skates. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skates in each row. 2 rows or groups of ice skates, 5 skates in each row. That would be like saying 2 rows of skates times 5 skates in each row, which is 10 total ice skates. It's easier to count 5 plus 5 equals 10 ice skates than it is to count each one of these if they were in a random pile individually. That's why we use arrays. Another way to read the same array is by using columns. Columns go up and down like a flagpole. 2 rows of skates here, we've already seen them. Now here are 5 columns of ice skates. 2 skates in each column. 5 columns of skates times 2 skates in each row equals 10 total ice skates. This is like saying 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. We remember skip counting from earlier this year, so we can skip count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and get our answer much easier because they're nicely in rows and columns. Arrays. When you are reading arrays, remember to think, how many rows are there? How many objects are in each row? How many all together? Or, how many columns? How many are in each column? How many all together? Examples of arrays. We can see arrays in our everyday life. Here are some cookies on a tray. If your mom or dad or even you have baked before, you know that you want to place the cookies or the different baked goods evenly on the pan. This shows 3 rows or groups of cookies and 3 cookies in each row. That's like saying 3 times 3 equals 9 total cookies, or 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9 cookies. If we can count by threes, 3, 6, 9, we can count this array very quickly. Here are some more examples of arrays. Let's look at these eggs in a carton. If you have a carton of eggs, you might have 3 rows of eggs, and each row has 4 eggs in each row. So 3 times 4 equals 12 total eggs. That's like saying 4 plus 4 plus 4, or counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12. I can count these 12 eggs very quickly using arrays. More examples of arrays. Let's say you have all your stockings hung in a row around Christmas time. This is 1 row of stockings. I can count them. I have 4 columns. Even though there's only 1 in each column, I can still count in rows and columns. So how many rows are there? The answer is 1 row. How many are in each row? 4. How many columns are there? 4 of them. And how many are in each column? 1. Did you notice how we have 1 row and there's 4 in each, or 4 columns and there's 1 in each? This is the way we can flip our equation, either by counting with rows first or with columns first. Let's practice. This is an array for 4 times 4, or 5 times 4. So let's practice. Let's count. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Are we counting 4 times 4 or 5 times 4? Let's see. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. The answer is 5 times 4. I hope you didn't get tricked. 4 by 4 would be 4 rows by 4 columns. Hey, this is an array for, is it an array for 3 times 5 or 6 times 4? Let's count. How many rows do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 rows. How many columns do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our answer should be 3 times 5. If I'm doing 3 times 5, I can count by 5. Let's do that 3 times for our 3 rows. 5, 10, 15. My answer is 15. This is an array for, is it an array for 10 times 2 or 2 times 9? Well, let's look first. How many rows do we have? We have 1 row, we have 2 rows. So it could be either one of these answers. Now we have to count our columns to find out. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 columns going up and down. Did you get 2 times 9? Good job. 2 times 9 would be the same as counting by 2's 9 times, and we would get the answer 18. This is an array for, is it an array for 4 times 5 or 5 times 5? To find this out, let's count. How many rows do we have? Rows go left to right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. How many columns do we have? Remember, columns go up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, can you find the answer? The answer is 4 times 5. That's like counting by 5s 4 times. Can you count by 5s with me? 5, 10, 15, 20. Good. Our answer is 20. Let's practice again. This is an array for, is it an array for A, 4 times 5, B, 6 times 4, or C, 5 times 5? I'm going to use my pen to help us. Let's make all of our rows red. So we're going to count our rows together. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Good. Now let's count our columns. We count our columns up and down. I'm going to draw lines for our columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this looks like a hot mess, but we know we have 6 columns and 4 rows. So our answer should be 4 times 6 or 6 times 4. I see that answer right there. So our answer is B. Is that the answer you got? I hope so. 6 times 4 is the same as saying 24. I can count by 6 4 times, or I can count by 4 6 times to get that answer. Okay, your turn. Do this on your own. This is an array for blank. A, 2 times 5, B, 3 times 5, or C, 4 times 2. Count our rows and count our columns, and we'll see the answer in just a minute. The answer is we have 2 columns, so it has to be either A or C. It can't be B because there's not 2 written in that equation at all. So let's count our rows now. Remember, rows go left to right. So let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our answer is A. Did you get it correct? A is like counting by twos 5 times, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or by 5 2 times, 5, 10. This array equals, this is an array for A, 4 times 6, B, 3 times 10, or C, 2 times 11. You count for yourself. I'll give you a second and then we'll find our answer. The answer is C, 2 times 11. That's like counting by 2 11 times. I hope you got that answer. Now 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 11 times would give me the answer 22. This is an array for A, 3 times 10, B, 9 times 3, or C, 7 times 3. Now if you look, how many rows do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 rows. So it could be any answer if we're looking for rows first. We have to count those columns going up and down to figure out our answer. Go ahead and count. Is it A, B, or C? Let's check. The answer is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 7 columns and 3 rows. Our answer should be 7 times 3. Did you get C? The answer is 7 times 3, which equals 21. This is an array for A, 6 times 6, B, 5 times 6, or C, 12 times 2. You decide. All right, when I'm looking, I'm going to count my numbers. Let's see, rows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And we've got columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So my answer should be 5 times 6, which is B. That's like counting by 5, 6 times. My answer would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Did you get that correct? Right, this is an array for A, 8 times 4, B, 7 times 6, or C, 9 times 3. Try to solve that now. The answer is A, 8 times 4. That's like counting 8 plus 8 plus 8, or counting 4 8 different times, and our answer would be 32. This is an array for A, 4 times 5, B, 6 times 3, or C, 3 times 7. Looking, I can see that there are 1, 2, 3 columns going up and down, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows going left to right. So my answer should be 6 times 3, which is B. That's counting 6 plus 6 plus 6. 6, 12, 18. My answer is B, 6 times 3, or 18. Another way I could write this problem would be 3 times 6, or by saying 6 plus 6 plus 6. This is an array for A, 9 times 4, B, 8 times 3, or C, 3 times 10. I already can see just by looking quickly that it can't be A. Why is that? Think about it. It can't be A because I see 1, 2, 3 columns, so 3 has to be somewhere in my answer. You decide, is the answer B or C by counting your rows going left to right? The answer is B, 3 times 8, which is like saying 8 plus 8 plus 8, which gives us the answer 24. Did you get it? I hope so. Arrays. Arrays show objects in equal rows. Creating an array can help you to solve a multiplication problem if you are unsure of the product. Good luck as you use your arrays to help you multiply. We're going to do a few more practice problems now together, and then our lesson will be over, so stay with me. Here's our first one. Name the array. There are two ways to write this array with a time symbol in between. You can do rows first and then columns, or columns first and then rows. Please write down the two answers that name this array. The answer is, let's check now and see if you got it right. 5 times 3 or 3 times 5. If you notice, we have 1, 2, 3 rows. 3 rows, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So 3 times 5 is like counting by 5 3 times. 5, 10, 15. Or counting by 3 5 different times. That's your answer. Let's try another one. Name this array in two ways. Using our multiplication symbol. The answer is 3 times 4 or 4 times 3. If I'm doing my rows first, I would say 4 rows times 3 columns. If I'm doing my columns first, I would say 3 columns by 4 rows. Good job. Name this array. Count carefully. The answer is 4 times 6 or 6 times 4. If you got that, air high five. All right, you should be writing these answers down on a piece of paper or a whiteboard, something to help you practice with, because the more you practice, the better you're going to do. Please write this array in two different ways using that X symbol. That means times. Our answer is 1 times 4 or 4 times 1. Very good. Name this array. How many rows do we have? How many columns? And then flip it. Our answer is 5 times 2 or 2 times 5. You can either count this by counting by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or you can do this by counting by fives. 5, 10. Either way, I get the same answer, right? If I count by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, am I using my columns or my rows? I'm counting by the number of columns I have. Very good. Name this array next. Name this array using our multiplication symbol. Our answer is 5 times 4 or 4 times 5. I can count by fives 4 times to get my answer. 5, 10, oops, like this. 5, 10, 15, 20. If I'm counting this way, I would be counting by fours. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Either way, I get that same answer, 20, when I'm using these arrays. Do you see how organizing these dots nicely and evenly helps making counting a lot easier? All right, name this array. Use that X symbol. It's 4 times 2 or 2 times 4. Next one. Two times 3 or 3 times 2. Very good job. I hope that lesson helped you review arrays and how to multiply objects when they're in a nice even row and in columns. Thanks for watching.